everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I am back with a Westworld Season 2 preview, where I am going to theorize and predict what is going to happen in the next season of Westworld. And I am here with the other half of BuzzTox. Trevor, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Good to be back.
That is the least enthusiastic welcoming. You've been gone for like half a year.
That's true. I took 2 allergy pills before we started, so the enthusiasm might drain out of me as it goes on. But I will do my best.
Well, that's really good to hear. How excited are you for this upcoming episode of Westworld?
Pretty excited. Like, it was kind of on ice for me until I started seeing the trailers, until I watched a few things to kind of bring me up to speed. And I'm here, aren't I?
Yeah. And Westworld for me was the same with me. I wasn't really excited for it until I made the last video on Westworld, and now I can't get enough of it. And Westworld Season 1 was the most enjoyment I've got out of any show so far. So this season is bound to be good.
Yeah, pretty stoked.
Especially since the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes are amazing.
Oh, wicked. I didn't want to look too much into them because I figured they're going to be spoilers. But that's good.
No, I haven't looked in anything either, and I just want to look at, based on the trailers and the information from the first season, is how Season 2 is going to play out. And I got to say, Trev, we have a pretty good track record.
Yeah, especially for this show.
So let's see how close we can get, just by initial impressions of Season 2.
Yeah.
So first I want to start off with Dolores. And I want to hear what you think her overall arc is going to be for this season.
Who's Dolores again? Just kidding. I don't know, man. She seems like she's got a little bit of a chip on her shoulder based on that running down people and shooting on them with the repeater rifle there. So, I don't know. It seems like she's sort of got to air out her dirty laundry in at least the first couple episodes.
I think this story is going to be, in a sense, very typical, because she's going to be leading. It's going to be a revolutionary story. She's going to be protecting her people and creating a world for them. But I think they're going to have Westworld intricacies of twists in the plot. I think in the trailers we've seen a lot of Dolores talking about this new world, this beautiful world that was created by humans. But she must destroy this world because it is not their world, and she wants to create a world in the image of the host.
Yeah, it looks like she's exterminating the vermin from her house. You know what I mean? It's a fixer-upper, and she needs to start fresh. I was going to say, maybe unless there's something to it, like we see her in these montages killing people. So maybe she's showing specific people, like what these people did to the other hosts, and gets them sort of on her side by kind of running through what they've done to them in the past.
And it seems like she's completely running with it. Yeah, we see her gunning down all of these guests. But as what you said, she's taking on the role of the Judas Steer. When we watched Season 1, we almost knew that the Judas Steer reference of like the one cow that leads all the other cows wasn't a reference to that season. It was a reference to all the seasons to come.
Yeah, it's the overarching plot.
And I think the most significant thing is the Judas Steer is the one who leads all of the cows to the slaughterhouse. That's what Dolores says. And I think what makes that so significant is that's literally what she's going to be doing. In order to help her people, her hosts, achieve consciousness, she'll have to philosophically drag them to the slaughterhouse, to their cornerstone memory, to experience that pain and suffering, to push them to the center of the maze, and that is consciousness.
Exactly.
And I think in the trailers, I don't know if you remember, we're seeing almost parallels between what I think is her and the Man in Black. We see Dolores in a black dress, and she's actually functioning in society.
Yeah, she's doing something sort of formal.
Yeah, it's almost like she's at a party.
But it looks intentional, like she's there on her own free will. Even in like that little snippet, it looks like she's like being not conscious in the way that we're saying, like she's being there, like as a human would be. Like she's almost feeling like she's self-conscious of where she is. You get what I mean?
Yeah. It's like she's on a mission. And in another clip, we see Teddy, who's also dressed in black. It's almost like they went as a date, and he put a gun on. I looked at the back of the person's head, and I'm pretty sure it's Ashley.
Oh, crazy.
So what kind of mission do you think that she's on?
I don't know. That kind of throws me for a loop. Is she taking like Bernard's role, or is she like dressing up like to be like the formal leader, because that's all she's known is these guys in like black suits coming in to talk to her?
See, I have kind of a unique answer, but I hope I'm not wrong. So I assume that she is on a mission. And I think the reason that she got there is because of Bernard. And that's Bernard's really significant role, is that he's got a hand in both worlds, the humans and the robots.
Yeah, because everyone that's human still thinks he's human, as far as we know.
Exactly. And I think it harkens back to what Ford was saying in the first season. He told Bernard that they still need to suffer more. They still need to learn about their enemy. They need to learn about humans. And I think this is Dolores learning about her enemy.
No, I agree. That's what I was saying. Like, it seems like she might be killing people just in cold blood, the way that they cut it. But I feel like she's pulling a Man in Black, and Man in Black William, interchangeable here because I'll probably switch back and forth. But he knew that from the beginning, that there was a little bit something to being awful.
Yeah.
To bring out the realness in the hosts. And that's why he was always awful to Dolores, because it came through in little pieces. So it's the suffering that brings them to the edge of consciousness, at least at the start here.
Well, this is where I think the parallel between the Man in Black and Dolores is so particular, is that we see her in the trailer with a black dress, and then we see her again in a white dress. Now, here is my guess. When we see her in a white dress, we see William, it could be William, looking at her. I think that we're going to be getting, once again, present and the past. And I think that duality makes sense, because we're going to see Dolores as a host kind of being a waitress, I guess, in the past, wearing a white dress. And then in the future, we're going to be seeing her wear a black dress, almost like the Man in Black, from White Knight to Dark Knight. And the reason that is because you have to become a black hat or a villain in order to push these hosts into consciousness, into suffering. And that's why Ford, in the first season, let the Man in Black run through the park, because the Man in Black was the one who was responsible in pushing Dolores to that conscious state, because he was her traumatic cornerstone memory.
Yes, agreed.
So I think the duality and the symbolism there is extremely significant. And I think I have one more ambitious prediction for Dolores. As I said, she's going into society and almost learning about her enemy at these parties. I'm willing to wager a guess, and let me know what you think about this. I think that she is at a party for Shogun World, because I think that they're going to continue to run Shogun World, because the investors and Delos, the company, is going to blame that massacre on Ford. That the hosts are fine. It was Ford that altered their code, and that resulted in that mass murder. So Westworld will be shut down, but Shogun World will remain open. And that will mean that there is like a party, an investors party kind of thing. I think.
So you think she's showing up there, like, pretending to be an investor?
This is so fucking detailed. I think she's going to get in because of Bernard. And I think that there is a key reason why. I think that we're going to get to the point where this is like batshit crazy. I think that Dolores is going to build their world. Their world that they want right now in Westworld. Because that's how they're going to sit there and learn until they're ready to take on the actual world and society. I think that she's on a mission to bring Shogun, all of the Japanese people in Shogun World, I think she's on a mission to bring them back to her world that she's creating in Westworld.
Like, she wants to have all hosts.
Yeah, I think she's smuggling them to one area so they can create a society and then move forward and then take over the world.
Yeah.
And I think that could be the cornerstone of the success of the episode of the season. It could end with the samurai finally making it to Westworld. But I'm going way too I'm going really deep on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm not with you. That is very ambitious.
And the reason that's coming in is because we see them fighting in the facilities. We see a lot of characters in the facilities. So I feel like that has to have some sort of role.
Yeah, I'm torn with her role in this, because yeah, we're gonna see a lot of flashbacks. We already see William, right, in his younger days, Is it like maybe what if it's William bringing her out to show off to the investors? You know what I mean? Like he becomes obsessed with her and wants to show people and stuff like that. Could be something like that. Like he brought her out.
He would have the power to do that too. But then you have to think of, we know that William is in the show. We just need to figure out why. What more story do they have to tell from young William's perspective? What more of an impact did he have on Dolores that they need to reveal?
To me, it's him coming back into the real world and being just like totally driven towards going back into Westworld. So he knows he has to make moves within Delos to make sure that they procure Westworld and all of its assets so that he could basically live there or have control over there or make sure that he's got a piece of it. Whether he's investing in it, yeah, but he wants to be a part of that world, being in it. He's obsessed. It's like his drug now, so he's securing his stash. So it's him going to be conniving and like crazy outside of Westworld, business-wise, in order to make sure that that happens.
It'll be interesting to see, and I'd like to see if it has an impact on current conscious Dolores.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting. I'm like, even just talking about it now is getting me stoked because I'm remembering all the little subplots that are in it.
Yeah, and what's so interesting too, outside of that, is we're seeing fights in the control room, and which I'm guessing is the beginning of the season because that's what happened at the end of season 1. But we're also seeing Dolores seemingly taking over the facility. But we're also seeing a fight scene that's taking place in Westworld itself.
Yeah.
We see, it's the same backdrop. We see humans and military attacking with their Humvees and their machine guns. And then we also see the other side of all of these hosts barricading the wall. And we see Dolores there too, shooting people. What do you think this fight means?
Well, I think it could be two separate things, right? We could be seeing whatever wraps up at the end of season 1, right? There might be an extended, like, what I think about the samurai world or Shogun world is going to be that you're right. I think it's fine. It's going to go on, and the problems that's facing Delos is, or at least they think, is isolated to Westworld only. So yeah, business as usual. Sorry, this part of the park is shut down for renovations. They're going to try and clean up this PR nightmare before it gets out, and they're running around trying to clean up. So there might be more than an extended scene in even just episode 1 of all the mess that is still needing to be cleaned up from the last episode of last season.
Well, and then there's that battle. And what I will say is I think, like you said, throughout the show, we're going to be seeing the military move in, but they're going to realize that the hosts are kind of congregating together and they're going somewhere. And I think that this fight that we see is going to be between Dolores and her hosts in their own society that they're trying to build versus the military trying to wipe them out because they're dangerous. And I think that this would take place in the last 3 episodes for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to put the pieces together, and there's a shot of Clementine on a horse riding away, kind of in like the desert. And the Humvees are following her. And I think they use Clementine to find where Dolores is building her secret society.
Like they let her loose, like a carrier pigeon kind of thing. Like
yeah,
she'll go back to where everyone else is.
Exactly, because she's been wiped. So I think they follow her, and that leads them to Dolores' sanctuary. And what I think is we're going to see, it's so comparable to me to Planet of the Apes. Like Caesar, we're going to see her completely embody the leadership role. And we're going to see her have everyone on her side, from those black masked like Wyatt's men who have been given to her by Ford. We're going to be seeing the like military men that we see that Teddy shoots up. And she's going to have all these people under her control. And then it's going to be a fight against humans and hosts over her own homeland.
So I'm just remembering something. One of the last scenes is what's his face, the douchebag writer guy. What's that guy's name? Sizemore. Yeah, so Sizemore is trying to do this thing, and he goes down to get Abernathy, opens up the cold storage, everyone's gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been cleared up. Who are those people? Are those people, some of them, the black masked dudes?
No,
Like
those
Buddy's
are those are hosts that have been completely wiped and have really nothing left. The only one of value is Abernathy, who has all of that data from...
Yeah, he's a USB drive with legs.
Exactly. So I think Dolores is gonna figure out how to operate them, and maybe because of her code, she could give them that Reveries update, and we'll start seeing these hosts who were completely wiped start developing themselves, almost like a personality.
Yeah.
And I think that works with Abernathy, is we see him taken over by people. I don't know the extent of what that means, but what we do see is flashbacks, and I think we see Abernathy tending to his herd. And I think maybe that's him kind of coming to terms with his reveries, his past experiences, which could kind of bring him back.
It's really cool because I'm trying to pull Dolores and Maeve into the same path, right?
Yeah.
Because Dolores hasn't been into like programming the way that Maeve has been, right?
Yeah.
Because Maeve's been working with Felix, who actually has controls, and because it looks like he's kind of shown her how to reprogram stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Dolores is all about like organic consciousness. It seems like for the programming, she's looking to do it organically, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's like Dolores discovered consciousness, whereas Maeve is unique because she walks between worlds. She's in Westworld, she's out of Westworld, she's in the facilities, she knows how to use their technology. My question for you is, do you think that Maeve is conscious?
I think we're supposed to think that she's reached it by the end of season 1, but I don't think she's close to what Dolores is. I think she just got into the maze.
I agree. I think everybody thinks that she has achieved consciousness. There are many reasons why I don't think so. First of all, the code says that she will infiltrate Homeland, but it immediately says after that it was null and void, like it cancels out. Also, Ford would never send a unconscious host into society. His whole purpose was to leave them in Westworld to suffer and to experience pain, to hopefully achieve consciousness. So that's irresponsible on Ford's part. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how Maeve and Dolores interact. Because Dolores is going to be pretty much staying in Westworld, whereas Maeve has that connection outside.
Yes.
And I think Maeve's journey in this show, or this season, is to achieve that consciousness and to find her daughter.
Yes. That's her maze. Like that's what I'm saying. I think this is her going into it. And like, the code that clearly states like infiltrate mainland, like it's even in yellow writing as far as I remember.
Yeah.
It's like we're supposed to think that she made a conscious choice not to, but I feel like that was set up for her and highlighted for the viewer so that she sort of outright chooses to step towards learning what it is to be conscious. You know what I mean? Like it's like a double switch.
And I think that is the surface of the plot, is Maeve finding her daughter. And we see her find her daughter. But where the twist comes in is I think this is still part of Ford's plan. He wanted Maeve to go to Shogun World for one key reason. The Reveries update and all the chaos only happen in Westworld. Every single host in Shogun hasn't been touched. Maeve is the Trojan horse to deliver that virus to all of those hosts.
Yes.
And that results in an overall host uprising. She's going to be the jumper between worlds to provide that sentience and potential for consciousness. She's pretty much going to jumpstart everybody into the maze. And I think on her journey to find her daughter, she may realize that she may lose her daughter, and that loss and suffering may be the thing to push her to that next level of true consciousness.
Yes, and that's what's woken her up in the past, is these crazy, emotional, violent tragedies within Westworld.
Yeah, and it will be so interesting to see where she's at when she achieves that, because we've seen a shot of Dolores and Maeve together.
Yes.
So what do you think their relationship's going to be in this season?
I think they're going to show background of them interacting before, maybe in the time when Maeve was like a farmstead host. Mm-hmm. And there'll be like shared time in that world. Because we know like the Men in Black was the one that like created that tragedy for Maeve, right? Mm-hmm. So we're going to see interaction probably back then, whenever her story was that she was like a farmstead with her daughter in Westworld. But I also think their run-in's going to be very important because they're going to have sort of like the Ford and Bernard arguments. And that goes back to Mike, like Bernard wanted... actually, I'm saying Bernard, but Arnold, right? Arnold and Ford. They're both going towards the same goal, but they're going about it in different paths. Whereas Arnold wanted them to become organically, I'm going back to that term, conscious. Ford had a way of sort of programming them to see their path to consciousness. Get what I mean? Like a synthetic kind of boost towards it.
Right.
And Dolores is a total product of Arnold's program, and Maeve is a total product of Ford's vision. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there'll be some differences in their opinions about how they go about doing these things, and they might actually come to not like one another.
And I think that's even seen in the way that they dress. Like, Dolores is still stuck in Westworld. She's wearing those kind of garments, whereas Maeve is wearing a dress from the modern ages. Yeah. Maeve has so far advanced Dolores in that sense, but she still hasn't achieved consciousness. I think there's a potential that Dolores becomes the Judas Steer in Westworld, and Maeve becomes the Judas Steer in Shogun World.
That would be pretty badass.
And the show can jump between each other until they finally come together in Dolores' new world that she's built for them.
Well, if there's a samurai versus cowboy battle scene, you got like that's
pretty badass.
Huge. That's pretty badass. That's like what everyone's hoping for now, that we just willed it into existence.
But I do think that that's Bernard's key role, is he's the connector of people. Like, I think the key connection between Maeve and Dolores will be through Bernard. And the reason why Maeve will be able to go through so much is because of Bernard. He's going to be playing both fields, the humans and the hosts. And I think he's going to have an internal conflict because even though he is a host, he still knows a lot about the humans. So I think he's going to have a hard time.
No, he's an advanced host, and he was like he's a VIP host. Like, he had way different coding than the rest of the regular hosts. So who knows what sort of path he's going on. And he might have to pick a side.
It's interesting. Bernard's interesting because he's self-aware, yet he's not truly conscious yet.
Yeah, it's gonna... Oh, man. You got me excited for his plot.
But what's crazy with Bernard, though, is I think we're in for another twist. In the trailers, we hear Bernard saying that he had a dream, and he sees people in the water on the shore. And he said that he dreamt that he was on an ocean, and all of the other hosts were at a distant shore, and he told Dolores that he was not with them. I think that this has huge significance to the plot, and I think that this isn't Bernard. I think this is another bait and switch. This is Arnold.
This is going back even before, yeah.
Yeah, because first of all, hosts don't dream. Not yet. Maybe when they achieve consciousness they do. But this is what I think. I came up with this idea that I'm very proud of. I think that Arnold sat down with Dolores and had this talk with her, saying that I had a dream of this ocean, introducing that ocean, because he sees it as very significant. And I think he's trying to pick her brain and get her to understand that concept of dreams, as well as the significance of the water and the ocean.
Yeah.
But what makes it real is that in the show, we actually see hosts on the shore, on the ocean shore. And we see Bernard there too. We see waves washing up against him. Mm-hmm. I think this is really key because I think we're going to see Arnold talking to Dolores about this dream that he had about the shore. But I think it's so significant because I think he integrated something about an ocean in the code of the hosts.
So is this going into the theory that Westworld and the whole facility is within within an ocean, within an island, underwater?
I'm not thinking that direction. I'm thinking of, I don't have all the answers to formulate my complete idea, but the way I see it is that whatever Arnold was telling Dolores, a part of the uprising, a key part is the ocean and washing up in the ocean. And that's why we see Bernard with all of these humans on the beach, kind of inspecting all of these hosts, wondering what's going on and why all these people have flocked and died, presumably, at the ocean. And even Bernard ends up there. So what I think is going to happen is Bernard's going to be like, what the hell? And then in this state, he's going to be forced because of his code, and he's going to wake up on the ocean. And that's going to be another reminder that he is a host. And I think the plot will unfold, and we'll learn more about why this ocean is so significant. Why are these hosts being drawn to the ocean?
Yeah, it's sort of symbolic if you think about like evolution. Like everyone says that we come from the ocean, right?
Yeah.
We went from fish to land animals.
Yeah, it's like they're returning to the first state of evolution. Like it's like a reset button.
Or they need to crawl out of the ocean that they're in onto mainland, like it references in the code, to start that next step.
Like it could be something so simple, like maybe Arnold thought something would come eventually. In the state of an uprising or something, everyone's coded to go to that shore because then all the hosts are in one spot where Dolores can get her army. Or something like that. I just think it's very significant how it seems like Arnold dreamt of it and introduced that. But then we also see Bernard on the shores of the water with all the other guests. So I think there's something there.
Yeah, like I was just thinking at a surface level, like this is after the massacre. Massacre took place near the beach, correct?
Yeah.
So people probably split into the ocean to try and get away, or the simulated ocean, or whatever that might be. And they all got blasted, and he woke up on that shore, like being sort of bobbed in by the tide. I
could have been way overthinking it, but the fact that I feel like Arnold said it and how it actually happened, I think there's a lot to it. I think that's like a deep plot twist, like the maze. They
shuffle the deck, like with symbology and significance and like red herrings. So who knows, man? I think this is going to be a crazy season, though.
Even right now, they have like mutated hosts.
Yeah, they have like those super soldier.
Like, what do you think their role is?
Well, I was thinking about this today when I was trying to reflect back on season 1, and I was thinking like Felix and like the livestock guys that take care of the people, like take care of the hosts that are damaged, and I'm like, what is the significance of having actual humans work on hosts? Like you would think they'd be able to program hosts to do human work. So there might be some explanation as to why that couldn't happen, and maybe these are like just prototype super soldier ready to go when they need them test bots that were never used because they never needed to use them, because they always ended up getting the job done. Like humans ended up getting the job done. But now there's a significant breach in the park that they might actually need to step up these like crazy super powered hosts that are on maybe a different programming altogether.
Man, I see that they've created mutts. Like they've created muscle. They've created these robots to help do their dirty work. Like it's like an additional muscle that can help fight against these hosts.
Yeah, like I don't see it like maybe later in the season that they'll turn, but I feel like these are the enemy of the hosts right now.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned turn. So what I think is, like, they're created as a weapon, and what we see is they're almost backing Bernard. I don't know whether they're backing him because they support him or because he's a hostage.
Yeah, like they could be walking him somewhere, but I was thinking like he's sort of a double agent. So he could be like, oh shit, these guys are getting rolled out, whether I say so or not. So I gotta sort of play along. And it made it look like he was either, like you said, being escorted, or he was sort of leading them to do something, Whereas I think it even could be he knows that they're going in and he's just walking with them to stay undercover. Like, yeah, I'll lead you to where you need to go, but at the same time, I need to warn the people that these things are going after.
I agree. And I think he could tweak their code so they follow him. Where I was going is I think they were made because of the Man in Black. The Man in Black is the key investor. He's pretty much the head honcho at Delos. And he specifically says in the trailer, they want to find a place hidden from God. We have something else in mind entirely. Now, when the Man in Black says this, I think when he says they're trying to find a place hidden from God, that's the hidden sanctuary Dolores is trying to build. And he's referencing himself and humans as God.
Yeah, because they're the creators.
Exactly. They're trying to build a place away from the humans. And the Man in Black is saying he has something else in mind entirely. And I think that entails building the muscle, building hosts to fight hosts. Because the humans are fighting an uphill battle. And I think Bernard's going to hit a point where he has to decide, humans or hosts. And I think his hand's going to turn. We see him with a gun shooting shit. Like, Bernard goes all out crazy.
Yeah.
And I think it's because his hand gets shown. We see a very, like, shocking shot of Charlotte walking in on a room of, like, 4 Bernards.
Yeah.
It's kind of not heart-wrenching, but it's kind of crazy to see. But we know by the trailers that Charlotte's going to discover that Bernard is actually a host.
Yeah, that's crazy. You have me excited mostly for his plot.
Isn't
right
it?
now.
His plot is insane. And I think his hand's going to get pushed, and then we're going to see Bernard push up his glasses and shoot some shit with a machine gun. And I think that's the role he's going to play. And fuck, I'm excited.
I just, like, you got me so stoked for a samurai versus cowboy battle. Like, that has to happen, right?
I hope so. I really quickly want to talk about William and Logan. We get a quick shot of they're almost having like a party scene, a formal meeting. Every person freezes, which kind of reveals that they're hosts, and Logan's kind of sitting there like, what the hell? What do you think Logan's story is going to be in this? Why is he back? The last time we saw him, he was thrown ass naked on a horse through Westworld.
This is what I think that scene was. I was thinking about this today in depth. I think he's coming back. Logan's coming back, but he's taking the bro code. He's not saying shit about William, or at least he gives William that impression. Like, anything that happens in Westworld stays in Westworld. Cool, I'm over it. Let's get down to business. William's smart. He knows what's up. So he hosts. He is going to backstab him somehow, and this is the way he's going to do it: is set up this party with all hosts. And see how, like, you're going to see a scene of Logan, like, bragging about all this shit. And like, that's when he's going to pull the pause button on those hosts.
Well, and I think we're going to see William kind of take over Delos from under Logan's feet. And I think the reason all these hosts are pausing is because Ford is entering the room. I think we're going to see talks between Logan, William, and Ford. I also think that William is going to sneak off and make constant visits with Dolores. And we see him visiting her at one point. So I think, we're going to see William kind of go on the decline on a journey to the cold Man in Black he becomes.
Yeah. No, I think that's a better idea. It's like Ford walks in and these things pause. But again, I still think that's under Logan's nose. Like, William had this all planned. Like, oh, Ford's going to come, but everyone in the party is going to be hosts. And it's like a way of selling your product.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there might be another few people there that are investors, but it's going to make Logan look like an asshole.
And I also think that there's a connection between 2 plots. We're seeing these past scenes with potentially Ford, Logan, and William, but then we see the Man in Black riding away from Ford's robot, his younger kid self, and it's kind of destroyed. Yeah. So it seems like the Man in Black in the last season was on a mission for the maze, and it seems like this season he's on the push for information almost to try and figure out why this is happening or how this happened and put a stop to it. So I feel like that's almost investigative work with him and Ford's young self-robot.
Yeah, I think he's still on the quest for the maze, but not for himself anymore. I think he's on the quest for what the maze has to do, like how that factors into her doing all this.
Right.
So now he's retracing the steps that he needs to find out why that's significant to her. Because if he can figure that out, he can understand why these things are going to be Breaking Bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's like now it's essential that he finds out what the maze is. When he thought it was some hidden game, now he knows it's a existential threat, and it will be his journey into figuring out how these things become conscious.
That'll be interesting. How do you think this show could potentially end on this season?
Well, you got me super stoked for a samurai cowboy battle. That'd be pretty cool if it wraps up in, like, let's say episode 7 of Maeve and Dolores not seeing eye to eye with how things have to be handled from this way forward, and there's a crazy penultimate battle between the two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
That's so dense. Like, that's a lot of stuff to cover to get to that point. I feel like that might be leftovers for season 3, but I don't know.
I see this shit as a really intricate and intelligent Planet of the Apes. What I mean by that is the base plot of it is the first movie. Caesar, the monkey, ends up finally escaping with all the monkeys out of the zoo, and they make it to the forest in San Francisco. The first season of Westworld, Dolores starts becoming conscious, and her responsibility is to bring those other hosts into consciousness.
Yeah.
The next movie, we see Ape Society. I think this season is that progress of Dolores bringing these hosts to her level of consciousness and building that host society that we've never seen before. And I think we're going to see the true struggle between the human and the host. And I think Dolores is going to try and get the host from Shogun back to Westworld, try and get all of the hosts conscious, and try and save all of them, and she'll try and build that sanctuary. And I'm going to wager a guess that I think this show is going to end at a battle for her world, her sanctuary. And I think there's going to be a big fight between the humans and the hosts. And I think it might end with an abandoned Westworld park with the hosts living in solitude in their new world. I think that's how it's going to end, on a pretty dark note, depending on what side you're looking at.
Yeah.
And then it will become kind of like a Jurassic World. Like they're kind of taking over.
So they're free-range hosts, and they're free to do with what they want within the confines of this isolated facility.
I think this season, they take over Westworld. I think the next later seasons, they potentially start to take over the world.
Do you think we'll get to see what this place is?
Maybe next season, Dolores' like small little sanctuary she built in Westworld. I think it'll be small, but I think it will be so weird to look at because it won't be anything that we have ever thought of before. Like it won't look Western. It won't look robotic. It will look really weird. I think everything will be laid out in a way that is perfectly mathematically efficient, and it will just be bizarre.
It is. It's very intriguing to think about what it is.
Yeah, it will be the perfect utopian society that is run by robots. It's like everything has a purpose, and it will look like nothing we've ever recognized. But that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, man. I'm very excited for this season.
It's crazy! God. I'm so excited. But that's it. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for listening. Do you have anything else to say, Trev?
No. I'm also excited for Abernathy. Oh, my God.
Oh. He had one scene, and he's become one of my favorite characters.
I know.
Goddamn,
remember
Abernathy.
How amazing that scene was?
I know.
Did he win anything for that?
No.
Oh my God, that is a crime.
I know, right?
Like, I don't know. Like, is anyone else singing in his praises? Because I think that was like one of the best acted things ever.
I don't know. I fell in love with him. I legit thought he was a robot who had a struggle.
Yeah.
From his daughter.
I really hope he's a big part of this next season.
I freaking hope so too, and I hope it's Abernathy. I hope it's not some fucked up like robot.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's it, everybody. We'll be back with Westworld episode 1. See you guys later.
See ya.